the one Indian English expression or a mannerism that cracks you up every time?
Prepone. See? Cracks you up too.
You're watching The Big Scope and welcome to The Boss's Game, where I get to play the boss because I get to ask the questions and also make our guests drink some really weird and nasty juices. That is, if he fails to answer some of my questions. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got with me the lovely Alan Gimel on the show, who is the director of British Council India. Alan, lovely to have you on the show.
Very nice to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
So, one of the first things I really want to understand from you, British Council is known for these beautiful libraries in India. What else does British Council do?
Great question. So we are recording this in our Bangalore library, and we certainly want many, many people across the city to come and experience the books and programming that we have here. But we are much more than libraries. We are a teaching centre. 27,000 Indians are coming to our teaching centres each year.
Wow.
We have 30,000 library members, and we're running one of the most important exams around the world called IELTS, which many people choose to study or work overseas.
Lovely.
And lakhs of people are taking that exam with us. But people might know us most recently for our work in culture, where we've just concluded a really successful year of cultural exchange between Britain and India, which Prime Minister Modi asked us to make happen.
Wow. And you have so many teachers. So I'm really curious. What do these teachers do? What do they teach apart from? Do they just teach English or do they teach something else? What do these teachers do?
So they are responding to the ambitions of young people across India. People come to us because we're a trusted brand, but they also come because they want to have a little more English to take that next step in their career. And that's why 27,000 people each year are coming to our centres. We're also out in the field working with state governments and government schools.
Wow.
We've trained 1 million teachers in government schools in the last 10 years. And I spend a lot of my time travelling from Kohima to Kerala, talking to chief ministers and education ministers, asking what can our English teaching work do to respond to the economic ambitions and the education ambitions of your government.
And which has been your favorite part so far in India in terms of going out there?
So look, I love all of India, and in fact it was that love for India that made me say we should run a campaign for our 70th year. We're 70 years old in India this year, and our campaign is inspired by India. Because we've been inspired by India every day of the last 70 years by its artists, its teachers and its young people.
How many years has British Council been in India?
So 70. We
70,
are 70 years. I look good for it, no? We're 70 years old this year.
Oh, lovely. Let me ask you something interesting to that point of yours. So if you were to, promote Indian languages back in UK in a similar fashion that you're doing with English and British Council India, how would you go about it?
So I suppose we would ask the Indian High Commission and its great High Commissioner, Mr. Sinha, to do that. That's the first thing. But I think you would want to do the same things we're doing here. We have incredible teachers who make learning fun. When people come to our centres, when they come to our classes, the one thing they say most of all is, it's fun. It's not like school.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that we do. The other thing that we do is we would get partners like Geo. We have an incredible partnership with Geo, whom we love. And right now, 104,000 people across India are accessing our Learn English content through a partnership with Geo.
Well, you say Geo, Reliance Geo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, lovely. How long has this been partnership in so far?
So we've been getting closer and closer together over the last year.
Wow.
One of the most exciting projects that we've done with Geo is to take 5 LGBT films. So we created the world's largest gay film festival, and this year we chose an Indian film. And we said to Geo, would you help us take these films to people across India? And for 10 days, the films were available. 2.8 million people watched the Indian short.
This is across the world, you're saying?
In India. Because of our incredible partnership with Geo.
So lovely.
Well, they have an incredible reach. They've got a great brand. They've got great products. And if we were teaching back in the UK, we'd want to find those kinds of partners to connect with, excite, and inspire people on their mobiles.
Wow, this is just amazing. I really want to talk more on this, but we'll move on. So I've got a simple question in this before we move on to the next segment. Why do you want the world to learn English?
We want people to learn English. We believe that learning a little more English will help you get on in life. There's been some British Council research that says regardless of the part of the economic pyramid that you're sitting in. Some more English will make you more employable, particularly if you're nearer the bottom of the pyramid, actually. A little bit of English there can get you into a different kind of job and more disposable income. So we really want, most importantly, to be seen as a trusted place to learn English. And that's what we see here. People have been coming to our centres for decades, really. And as I say, 27,000 people coming each year now, and 1 million teachers in government schools trusting the British Council to help them learn a little more English.
This is so lovely the way you're taking it down to the masses. Helping so many teachers learn English and take it forward, and so many millions of teachers, and even the festival. Moving forward more and to the second round where we get to know more about him as a person and the kind of crazy things he's done in his life. So when did you first come to India? When did your first association with India start?
So probably about 2013, I think. I came.
2013.
I was working in Mexico,
Okay.
and I wanted to create a large-scale teacher training program in Mexico, in the state of Estado de Mexico,
Lovely.
which was where the Mexican president he was governor of that state. And we said to the people in the Estado de Mexico, let's see the incredible work the British Council is doing in India. So we came for a crazy visit, 5 days, and we went to Delhi, Amritsar, Chennai, Mumbai, and saw this incredible work and this scale and these connections and the richness of the British Council's work in India. And then I decided I want to come back.
So this was like a case study for you to take it out to other countries?
Yeah. And then we took the concept and the program to Mexico. And then I arrived to work here and live here in May 2016.
You've been living here for
2 years.
You love it so far?
I love every bit of it. I love it. It's a great privilege to be in India right now, to see where India is and imagine where it's going, to see young India, it's sometimes to connect with them. And in the job that I've done, to travel around India from Nagaland to Gujarat, to see this richness and diversity, but also the sense that India is moving.
Wow. I feel a little, I don't know how to explain this, but he's more well-traveled in India than I am. I mean, but that is, we'll discuss about his travels further on. Moving forward, my next question is something I really want to understand. How did you do this? Okay, I mean, this is like a personal goal for me on the show. But in 2016, GQ named you as the 100. So GQ named him as the 100 most connected men in UK.
But I was probably number 100.
But still, he's there. You're there, the 100 man. 2 questions. Second question is, how did you get on the list? How do I get on the list?
But maybe I can put your name forward or something. I think they stopped it after that list. So
that was the last list they put.
So I've been very lucky. Okay. I've done the most incredible jobs, and I've met the most incredible people. And there are some really, really connected individuals that I've got to know. An incredible woman called Julia Hobsbawm, who's just created a book called Social Health Fully Connected. Right. You should look at it. She's talking about information overload. But I'm sure it was Julia.
That's so true.
But it is true, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, how long are you on that for?
24 hours.
Exactly. And this channel, exactly. So people want it. We all want to consume the content all the time. And we've moved our business more and more online to be there. But Julia's book, which is great, is also about saying, what are the issues with that? And how are we going to structure societies to be better able to deal with this information overload?
Wow. So do you also feel a wave of information overload?
Yeah, completely. Look, we have 600 staff in India. We've got 10,000 people in our business around the world. That's a lot of emails.
Yeah. So when you decide, since you've been living here for so long, and when you decide to say, this is my time to shut up. I don't want to look at any emails. I don't want to look at any phone messages. I just want my zone, my peace zone. When do you do that? How do you do that, rather?
So badly. But what you realize as the boss is whatever you do, other people do. So in my first year, where we were really frantically trying to change and shift and understand where India was going, I worked too much. And I was on the email too much. And every email you send, I'm sure other people see it, gets an email back. So now I try and not email over the weekend. My lovely friend Julia has a techno Shabbat. So from Friday night, she turns the email off and leaves it till Monday. I am not that brave yet. but maybe we should. Maybe we should say it needs to be dialed down a bit.
That should be repeated in every television network in India and every YouTube channel in India. This is what you should do. Friday night, switch off your phone, switch off your laptop.
And do the fun stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not work. I mean, this goes out to me as well. But let's see how
Let's see how well. Let's do this in a year.
Yeah,
see how many Friday nights we've got.
Okay, if you're watching, we're going to meet each other exactly in a year and tell what we have done with the personal lives. Moving forward, tell me one thing, one experience of yours in India which really changed you, which really made you think, again and like, okay, let me look at life in a different way. One, because you've been living, you had so many experiences, Mexico, here and across. One experience in India.
There are loads. I've been in one meeting where I realized that there was a majority of women in charge. Very often I go to meetings and it's more men talking than women. And one day I was in this meeting and I suddenly realized it was strange. It just didn't feel the same. And we were continuing on, and then I realized that for the first time, and it was a year in, more women than men were at the table, and more women than men were the decision makers. And I was really inspired by that leader. And I stopped the meeting and said, I just want to say this. And how did it happen? And the person said, I changed jobs so that I would have freedom to hire, and I brought in temporary short-term talent to try and create a different kind of workforce. And it was that meeting that made us think, for our 70th year, we should create scholarships for women, and we should send women to Britain and continue this gender equality story.
Wow, it's so nice, it's so lovely. The best thing to talk about early in the morning today. One last thing in this segment. In India, who's that one person you would like to meet, you have not met so far?
So we did a cricket garden at the Olympics of gardening. We did a cricket garden at the Chelsea flower show this year, and it was inspired by Sachin Tendulkar. And there's a blue flower called the Himalayan blue poppy, which is from here, but they grow it in where I'm from in Scotland.
Wow.
And we said that this flower was really signifying Sachin. And we wrote to him and said, is it okay to do this and talk about you? And he said yes, because he's incredible. I haven't met him, and I'd love to meet him.
So Sachin, if you're watching the show, that is, if you're watching the show, Alan would love to meet you. Absolutely. Going on to the next segment, this is the last segment on the Boss's Game. This is a segment where we're going to throw some 10, 12 rapid fire questions to him, and if Alan fails to answer even one question, he needs to take a shot of 2 weird juices that we'll give to him. So lovely. Sachin, if you're watching this show, Alan would love to meet you and show you some flowers that he brought from Scotland.
I want him to teach me how to play.
Okay, so he'll give you a flower, you teach him how to play. So moving on to the third round of the Boss's Game, where we're going to ask Alan somewhat 10 or 11 rapid fire questions, and if he fails to answer even one of them, he has to take a sip of one of these. This is lovely apple cider juice early in the morning at 12 o'clock. Well, it's good for health, so that's what it is. We're not going to give you something nasty. So the first question on the game. The one Indian English expression or a mannerism that cracks you up every time.
Prepone. Cracks you up too.
Okay, because I just got reminded of something. Okay, the next one. One Indian celebrity that you would want to speak English more often.
Adil Hussain, because we worked with him in a thing called Mix the Play, and we love him.
One line in Indian language that gets you out of trouble every time in India.
Acha.
Acha. How do you say that again?
Acha.
Oh, cute. Absolutely. Okay, the one thing about India that you would want to change right away.
The honking on cars. Give
me a high five. This is important. It's very important. Okay, if you were stuck in a lift with Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, what would you do?
I'd be quiet.
And let the two people speak.
I'd be back. I'd do the buttons.
Okay, do the buttons. Oh, lovely. Okay, the next one. The one Indian food that you cannot probably stomach.
I like them all. It's a bad answer, I know, but I've done this massive tour twice. There's nothing. Even fried beetles in Nagaland.
You're more Indian than I am, man. I can tell you a list of 4 or 5 things that is not absolutely. Okay, the next one. The biggest misconception about India that you had before you came here.
I thought I knew it, and I didn't know it at all. And now I know how much I don't know.
Oh, lovely. Oh, lovely. Who are you betting on? This is the last one. Who are you betting on between India and England to win the Test series?
So that I'm not answering.
I have to take a sip. I'll take a
this
sip.
This is for India and England.
Since he's answered most of them, I'll take a sip with you. Cheers, early in the morning. That was quite pleasant. It was
Not
pleasant.
the worst thing I've had.
Absolutely. Alan, thank you so much for being on
Thank
the
you so
show.
much
It
for
was
having me.
a pleasure. You're such a
great.
sport for drinking this not so awkward.
This new health drink, I think people should buy it. We're going to be selling 150 rupees a glass.
150 rupees for this. Okay, I don't think it'll work in India if we sell 150 rupees for this. Absolutely. But ladies and gentlemen, that was the first episode of the Bosses Game here on the Big Scope. Until next time, I get another gentleman, another lady to sip one of those weird juices and answer my weird questions. I'm Aritra, and keep watching the Big Scope.